man.
Party people in the place to be. It's about that time for us to.
Yeah.
What's up, chiropractors? This is Dr. Silveri, your guide up the mountain to $1 million practice. If you're looking for the roadmap to grow your practice fast, then keep on listening. This is the Path to $1 Million podcast, where I chat with today's most successful practicing chiropractors. And remember, if you want to get there faster, visit getmemorenewpatients.com to find out more about Leverage Media, the most comprehensive digital marketing agency for chiropractors on the planet.
What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media. Welcome to another episode of Path to $1 Million podcast. I am here with the man, Tony Ebel.
What's up,
What's
man?
going on, brother?
And he came to my suburban backyard for this, right?
Nobody leaves Chicago to come to Crystal Lake. It always goes the other way.
100%.
But I appreciate you being hospitable. I've been here for a couple hours in your office. It's gorgeous. You just moved in a few months ago. I was blown away by not only like how nice it is, but the vibe in here.
Yeah.
Like it's just a culture. You know, like your staff was like excited to show me around, and you've done a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, the culture is one of our favorite words in the world because it's one of those ones when you first start hearing about it as you're building your business, your practice, it doesn't really make sense, especially if you haven't really experienced a good one or been a part of it. But then once you get it, it becomes your obsession, you know, to share it and spread it. And the team, they like fight over who gets to do the office tour, especially in this one, you know. And
Nikki almost tackled someone, I think.
Seriously.
You know?
And I try and interrupt it every time just to see if I can get her off her game a little bit, you know, as I did around the corner. But yeah, we've been loving it here, man. The flow and the energy, you know, family practice. So it's just open for everybody, a lot of special needs and, you know, my specialty with that. But it just works.
So just so that people do, that maybe don't know who you are, which there's maybe like 4 or 5 out there, right? If they don't know who you are, tell them about, you know, what is it that you like to focus on? What are you doing right now?
Yeah. So, you know, just a little bit of lineage on it, I guess, you know, my original start was going to be regular wellness, and greatly good stuff too, you know, regular wellness chiropractic. Been at it for 12 years now and got in and opened up here in Crystal Lake where my wife is from. Actually an Iowa farm boy originally. So I'll bring you to the farm next time. There are no Ubers.
Like Crystal Lake is it's the big city.
Big time. And I'll wait till summer for that one for you, brother. Yeah. But yeah, so we just got right into it. I have been a hard worker, you know, grew up in a farm family, entrepreneur in that way. My wife's from an entrepreneur family. So we got at it right away and got busy, but it was traditional, you know, and then this pediatrics perfect storm thing came into my life. There's a lot of variables, too long for one podcast story, but it was just what I was meant to be, taking care of kids. And so
you can feel it.
Yeah,
like you can feel it's like
just
you're calling.
I love it. And all sorts, you know, I'm a hard charging guy too. So I love the science behind chiropractic, what we do. So we take care of really tough cases. Perfect storm is my specialty. It's a workshop I developed in 2008 to grow my practice. Still have. Just use, you know, had one this morning. You know, got 10 new patients this morning. At a perfect storm this morning. We do.
Explain what you mean by perfect storm.
So the perfect storm is it's what we all know as chiropractors and that too. It's what we found with kids is as they go through that stress, especially with pregnancy, but then the real big one is birth intervention. That just completely wreaks havoc on the brainstem and the autonomic nervous system and creates that subluxation. And it then spins this family and this kid into a cascade. And it's not until 3, 4, 5 that they're said, oh, your child has autism or your child has ADHD, your child has these the neuro stuff doesn't show up diagnostically, medically, but it's been there the whole time.
Right.
And so the workshop, I always joke like with families there, it's my least favorite job and my favorite. We got to take them back and show them what they didn't know. Yeah. And that's emotional for a lot of moms. And it's not blame. It's just getting it figured out. But then most importantly, we get to turn that and say, well, because this happened and because it's neurology, we can do something about it. That's great. And get them started. So yeah, that started in 2008. I've grown my practice with workshops and speaking for the longest time. Used to be radio ads and print ads, right? Was the traffic.
Because we started about the same time. Like I started in 06, you were in 07, right?
Yeah. So that was it, you know, and it's just grown. And we, of course, internal referrals and word of mouth. We get great results. So we have that, always goes. community connections and that we have a lot of professional connections. We're always strong there, but that's where we started. I immediately saw Facebook and online and social as a way I could go reach more moms and reach more kids and make a bigger impact. So just, went to that early and often.
It's communication, right? Like, what's the difference of you sitting in a coffee shop explaining it to 6 parents? It's the same information that you're putting out on a video and pushing out to 10,000.
Wherever I can get it. The first ever Perfect Storm we did, this extrapolates into my work with Epic Pediatrics and all that. We have this nonprofit and all this stuff we're doing. This is already going on 3 years ago. The first webinar video version of the Perfect Storm I did with Dr. David Jackson. We were farmering together what we were doing with our ads and stuff. We were so early in that. And we had 100,000 organic views in 48 hours. Wow. Because moms are just like, share.
Whenever I see your videos, you're really good at like I told you earlier, the hook. Yeah. Like making it to where it's just like, why is it okay to lick the
shopping cart? Yeah. I went full clickbait on that one.
That one was so good,
right?
Because it's just like, because you have to get the message. If it's just you standing in front of this wall, monotonely talking, it's just not going to get it. You have to, the average watch time on a video on Facebook recently went from 6 seconds down to 5, insane. Right? Yes. And you've got to get somebody in those 5 or 6 seconds, or with the copy, to understand or create that interest, that curiosity.
And like we were talking about, there's a perfect tip for your listeners on it. There's a lot of ways that we've developed and mastered that, but the 2 ways I would share right out all the time are, that's the benefit of being busy and taking care of people. Yeah. We're just listening. I know what matters to moms. I know that surface level is the ADHD and the ear infection, but what is that doing to their life? Where is that really causing the challenges? And then we listen for that in here. Mm-hmm. Then we turn on this and get it out there. Right. And those moms go, oh, how the heck would you know? When you know that deeply, or when you speak to it that deeply with that hook, it immediately gets them to understand they must care. Yep. Because they would only know that if they care enough to ask that. So you actually get unbelievable good grace just from that. And then the other one is just repetition. I've got more videos that were crap, than I do that were wonderful. Yeah. But I also learned from each of those that went, didn't get it, wasn't early enough, wasn't the right line, and it's that. Funny story though, that I was thinking of when I was talking to one of my CAs, you'll love. Years ago, I went to a different chiropractic training group. I was looking for help because I started with traditional business group, and it just wasn't. It was great, but not for me. Yeah. And it was before I knew about David and Epic, and it was all about scripting, right? And I had one of my CAs. It was like a setup like this, and within the first hour, the guy, the guru, was telling us exactly how to say. My CA, within 3 minutes, falls out of her chair laughing at me because I couldn't do it. Right. She's literally like, "You can't do it," and so. Videos aren't scripts. They're,
it's stuff you talk about every single day.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like about you is like, you're just going to put it out there. And it's because I didn't tell you this, but the first time I ever saw you was the content that you were creating for Epic.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to reach out to you and just be like, dude, we got it. Because you were super shaky with the camera. You did not give a shit. No. You were just I'm going to put this content out. The content is good. And now your stuff looks so good. It's so clean, But it was always blurry.
Oh, it's terrible.
I'm like, does he have Vaseline on his camera?
It's just a farmer started, and I probably was in the chicken coop or something, Yeah, and then now I'm like, a tripod and a microphone. Yeah. That's a damn good idea. I love this.
That's great, yeah.
Totally.
So I know what I was going to say. That what we were talking about with you hear what they say, and then that way you can speak right into those problems. Something that we both love, story brand. Oh, that's what it is.
It's exactly.
It's like when I look at chiropractors' websites, True. I'm always like, you're just making yourself the hero. Yeah. This has nothing to do with the things that those people are thinking about. That they're worried about. You talking about that you were the 2019 best chiropractor in the city doesn't help them with their autistic kid. If you want to help with autistic kids,
it's insane how much we have this inner desire to be the hero. And when you learn story brand, it's so great to get reframed and go, whoa, if I do that, especially for moms, That's the last thing they want. Because most other doctors that are not getting the job done for them, certainly, but they love to be the hero. Right? Correct. And so they're so done with heroes, especially. Yeah. And so, when they see that it's just different this way. Yeah. Actually, I think out of our whole thing, oh God, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I think our website is the worst part of our game right now. Really? I look at it and I'm like, oh, no, but we are so strong in Facebook and digital and everything else community,
we'll work on that.
Yeah, totally, right? Big time. Need to. It just needs to go down and then back up.
Because the thing with websites is they're gonna go like the moms. I saw a mom in here today that she's just like, hey, I need to get a referral card, and that she's gonna give it to her boss. And it's like the first thing that boss is gonna do after she's done hearing how great you are, she's gonna go to the website. Big time. And if your website is anything like the one that I saw today. Mm-hmm. She'd be like, this isn't the right place. Yeah. Right? There's some real bad. I'm sure yours is in the top 10%.
It is. I'm way harder on it.
But you want it to be in the top 1%. I get that.
Big time.
But a lot of chiropractors don't take it as serious. Like, don't take the marketing and the messaging as seriously as we do. And it is so important. Like, we just did a whole rehaul on our website because I'm just like, I'm a Story Brand certified guide, and this site is not speaking to the patient as much as it should be.
Why I do it? This is as true as can frickin' be, because it all matters. And if we're gonna put in, if they have that need, and then if we're gonna put in all of that effort and all of that work to get the results and get it out of there and start that search for that mom, if the baton drops to the ground where I didn't even know it, that kills me. That eats at me. Then I would miss out on helping that kid simply because I didn't take the time to look at that.
Your office manager, because all your staff are past patients. Yeah. Your office manager.
We haven't done a Craigslist ad in forever. It's just like you're here.
You're missing out because there's some special.
Just for entertainment purposes. Right. I should. Yeah.
So your office manager was a patient. Yep. And all your staff were patients. But your office manager was telling me that she, it was like a year. She'd heard about you from a parent, and then I think maybe she went to a perfect storm. Yep. But it's like, and she feels bad that like in that year she missed out. But it's like, what was it that like wasn't in place for her to? Because if she'd have seen, because back then, because it's been like 3 or 4 years, so maybe we weren't doing as much content. Yeah. If she'd have seen 10 videos and then her friend told you about it, it's a game changer.
It's it.
It's like, oh yeah, I see him all the time.
It's the I'll use what I'm so familiar with. It's the perfect storm. You have to, in a good way. You have to put the perfect storm in play where once they are out there, you've covered all the bases. Yeah, especially in our practice, trust is huge for pediatrics. It's huge in everything. Yeah. It's got an extra, potential factor in peds. And so if that mom says, I had a friend I'm going to tell you about, she's going to go online, she's going to go on Facebook, she's going to go on her Google reviews, she's going to go on, if she's cool and hip, lives in the city like you, she'll go on Instagram. in the suburbs, you won't need Facebook.
Do they even have Instagram?
No, you don't even need it. Legit, I train. My favorite training. Oh, this is a perfect tangent. My favorite people to help in Epic is startups. Like I don't have a lot of patience for people who have been struggling for a long time. I'm like, give me the young ones, just like with practice, with my coaching and that part of it. And so they're all just slaying it on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm just over here taking notes, like, oh yeah, that looks nice,
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I'm in the burbs, and I have this practice. Facebook does slay for us. I was so excited though. Last week at my Perfect Storm, we asked them, that's how we know what's working and what's not. When they come in, how'd you hear about us? And somebody circled Instagram, and I was like, boom. Yeah. But then they're gonna
first one.
Yeah, right. 1 out of 5 years of time. So they're gonna do all those searches. Yeah. Then they're gonna talk to their OT, and they're gonna go, "Hey OT, who I trust, is that place? Is this a good idea?" So I gotta be there with them. I need them to have seen a Perfect Storm or my videos. Yep. And so we've just decided to cover every base we can. So there's no way that mom won't get in here, and it happens all the time. We've talked about it. It's the inner frustration. Just a couple of shifts ago, right in that spot, I was standing there. And a mom's here, and I get the quick cliff notes, and I'm stopping by on the tour, and she's like, I've been watching your videos forever, now's the time. And my brain hears that and goes, well shit, if I'd have done better videos, would you have been here 6 months ago? But I also hear that and go, I'm glad I did all those videos.
Exactly.
Because whatever it was, whatever accumulation, whichever final one it was.
And you didn't think about video number 7 that she watched. Nope. You're like, oh, that one failed because because I didn't get 10 new patients out of it.
Nope.
When I do these strategy sessions with doctors, I'll always see, and it's usually right around January. Right around, it's just like weight loss. It's like, they're like, you know what, I'm going to do videos this year.
I'm
this
gonna
year
do
I'm doing
it.
it. And there's always 2 weeks. And they didn't get 100 new patients from it. They're like, well, videos must not work.
And
Facebook doesn't work.
They also choose the busiest time for health resolutions ever to try and gain traction.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
So we also, we're just going to nerd out on a couple more people.
Let's do it.
But then we got to get into the point of the podcast, which is like your path to $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
So,
I've done it twice, by the way.
Which I'm excited about.
Yeah, totally. Screwed it up.
So number one, we'll end with our favorite.
All right.
Number one is Joey Coleman.
Oh.
You guys just did. So the 3 books that I tell people they have to read are Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Yep. Game changer.
Building a Story Brand.
Yep. Done.
And Never Lose a Customer Again.
Man, one of those things again where I wish, I wish your brain, kind of like that mom one, I wish I'd have known it earlier, and then I don't either, because everything is in time. Like, now that we have so much going so well with our market, and we have good retention. I've got triple-digit retention. That's Epic, and Jackson's been good at that forever.
Yep.
So I'm happy, but I want better, too. And then so he introduced us to Joey a year ago, read the book, blown away. We did that 2-day mastermind with him at Jackson's house in San Diego.
I was a little jealous.
I've been in a lot of good places with good people. Mm-hmm. That guy beat them all.
Yeah.
He's a true master.
Yep.
Of his presentation, of his content, but most importantly, of teaching you how to implement it. Because there's a lot of books that have great ideas and a lot of speakers that have great ideas, but they don't ever teach it in an implementable way.
Yep.
Joey stuff, and you saw some of it today, right, with our awards and those things.
Yep.
I'd say we've maybe implemented 30% of what I have dialed in. And I knew I want to do it over 12 months. And just that 30%, our wellness is just soaring.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And the dude is, and he's from, you know why he's amazing? Because he's from Iowa.
Right?
Yeah,
Of course.
You should, right? I mean, yeah.
So I sponsored him as a speaker at an event. And so with that, I got an hour with him one-on-one, going over my Never Lose a Customer Again plan.
Perfect.
And it was like, he was so good at finding, I thought it was, I'd worked on it. I was like so proud of it.
I know.
And he just he tore it up.
Yep.
But it was but it was easier. It was easier.
Yes.
And everything he said made 100% sense. And so the other thing that I get is as part of that was a webinar, and I still haven't taken him up on that. So that's coming up in a couple of months.
Beautiful.
And so I'll let you know so that you can get it to whoever needs
it out
to
there. Yeah.
Because he's just such a genius.
He is.
Such a genius.
And his what he told us at his training, and then he keynoted our Epic Impact event a couple weeks ago, and people were just like, it was so funny. I took my team to dinner afterwards, and I always seed the conversation. I'm like, so who was your favorite speaker? They never vote for me, obviously. But they were like, Joey, and I'm like, yeah.
It's always Jason Day.
Yeah, and then Jason Day, who's also professional AF, right? And I'm not, clearly, even as I've used it over the years. But Joey...
You make up for it in enthusiasm.
Yeah, 100%, right? Joey just blew them away in that. I can't wait to go more with him. Yeah, he's unreal. But Story Brand, too. I can't get enough of that podcast and those elements.
Did you get the daily emails?
Yes.
They're so good.
They're so good.
They're so good.
Yeah. Have you done... So did you do a 2-day with... Because you're Story Brand certified, right? Yeah.
It's like a week when you do the certification.
Perfect. I want to get into that one day.
He's another one that is so smart. At the workshop, when you do a 2-day, at the end of it, because he does the opening and then he kind of does the close, and his team is awesome too, and so they do the middle part. But at the end, you come up with a one-liner. Yeah. And you've been doing Story Brand for 2 days, so you think you've got it, right? Oh. And so he asks for one-liners. Oh. And this guy's never heard of your business. He's never thought about it. You have been thinking about it for years. Yeah. You're like, oh, this is great. You give him, hear other people, so you're like, oh, I need to change that, right? You give it to him, and he'll think about it for like 4 seconds, and he'll just be like, what if we did this? Yeah. And he says it, and everybody's just like, oh, this one guy canned, he canned breast milk so that women that couldn't. And he was like, whatever it was, he was like, how some moms can't lactate or whatever. Yeah. And so what we do is we take unused breast milk and we can it so that those babies can have it. And he said that out loud. And Donald Miller was like, what if he said, how some moms can't do this. Well, we can't breast milk so babies can live the lives they were meant to be. And it was just like mic drop. It was just like everybody was like, "Oh my god," you know, like we're saving babies' lives by canning breast milk. And and he was like, "We can it so that they can drink it," you know. And it's just he just like that one little. And he did it with everybody. That one was the most. I'm not doing it justice, but it was the most impactful. The whole room just like groaned. They were just like, "Oh man, you're so."
I love being around that.
Now our favorite.
Okay.
Dairy View.
Yeah, you know, especially with energy and passion and not worried about being perfect and polished and all that, it has always just resonated with me. And I know some people can't get over that, right? The extra part of it. I've been over it from the beginning because the man is a master of content and strategy on it. There's so much strategy within all that that you'd be insane not to follow it and not to apply it and put it together. Like even just the first, you know, I guess the first one was crushing it, but like jab, 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 right hook. Like all chiropractors, I shouldn't say all, you know, the ones that we get to work with get to flip this, but right hook, right hook, right hook, right hook, right hook. It's just like, are you kidding me? Like, you first off, the upper's not even good,
right?
You know,
every time somebody's like, what makes you different than somebody else? Like when I'm talking to somebody about the agency, I'm like, well, let me show you my Instagram, or let me show you my Facebook, and let's see how much content is in there, and let me find someone else who's just running a $21 new patient special. And it's like, that's it. That's all they're doing. That's the only thing that their communities ever see from them. And if you don't understand that you've got to put value out first, you've got to throw the jabs. Yeah,
and I love it, and it fits me. I'm also a guy, I love to teach. You know, Jackson Nixon, I'm like, Tony the Teacher is my nickname. Like, I'll just like, how many steps you want? You want 7 steps, 5 steps, bullet point? You know, like I can also make them start with the same letter too if you want. You know, just to remember, right? And so I love that. And I'm constantly taking care of people. I'm constantly engaged in the process. I'm constantly learning. So I don't run out of content either. Right. I think a lot of chiropractors are afraid to adapt and improve and change. So their message is going to grow stale because they're not moving forward either. So I love that he's just always, you know, where the puck is going with that. I can't get enough. Unfortunately, I spend a lot of time in the car with my kids, so I got to be selective. It's more Donald Miller with the kids, right? And then it's like I drop them off at school, and it's like boom, play with just you know, to Gary V. He's been very, very influential in my life, which is why I'm going to sound like such a dork here, but it meant the world to me to see you go there and get him on a podcast and get into a chiropractic conversation. It was unbelievable. I think that's a huge thing for chiropractic to get that reach. And you got damn good content out of it. Did an amazing job with that. We were talking about, I loved it. I watched that thing like 2-3 times over. And then you were texting me and emailing me, and I was like, then I loved that too, because I was like, this guy's the man. Look at this system behind this. I loved it. Loved every bit of it.
Got to have the follow-up.
Oh, it was beautiful.
The fortunes of the follow-up.
Yep.
So the Path to $1 Million podcast is when, and you know this because you deal with a lot of young chiropractors. Everybody wants to build $1 million practice.
Big time.
Like, it doesn't even really mean anything. It just like,
it's just been out there
when you're in practice, when you're in school, it's like, I want to see 300 a week, and I want to have $1 million practice, right? And so I think in the path to $1 million, there are 3 stages. There's 0 to 250. 250 to 500, 500 to $1 million, and then staying above $1 million. And I think each one of those a whole nother game. And I think each 4 of those is a whole nother game.
Totally.
The problems you have at 0 and 250 are different than the ones you have 250 to 500.
Massive.
Right?
I love it.
So we have when we have guests on, you have to have done one of those 4 states. You either currently have to be above $1 million. You have to have gone from 0 to 250 in under 12 months. You have to have gone from 250 to 500 in under 24 months. And 500 to $1 million in under 3. Or these are all ors. You could have just like done one. Or you're currently above $1 million. So currently you're above $1 million, so you qualify for the podcast.
Totally.
Which of those other ones did you? Each one of those. So you're our first 4-star.
Oh yeah.
You're our first 4-star. Yeah.
Sweet.
So that's exciting.
I'll take it. Yeah. And then screwed it up and had to kind of redo it again.
So let's talk about the first way through. So you started from scratch. You didn't buy a practice, right?
Yeah.
So because you've done so many of these, and I want to give value to like different stages.
100%.
I want you to give me the one needle mover, the biggest needle mover at each stage. So let's start with 0 to 250. You start out from scratch. It's 2007. You know, social media is not around.
Nope.
What is it that nobody knew who you were?
Yep.
What'd you do?
Community networking, not screening. I want to be. I was not, and I wasn't even, and I'm still not today per se. I'm not anti-screening. I have a fun play on it. I screen all the time, just phone screen to phone screen, so I don't have to screen. You know. Yeah, community connection. Chamber, Tuesday at 7 a.m. Shitty donuts and shitty coffee at the Shitty Country Inn and Suites in Crystal Lake, Illinois, with carpet salesmen and realtors and everybody. Yeah. And I hoofed it, man. And that's why I picked up on that when you were going to the game. And I was known in the community. And then my difference was, because I chose pediatrics.
Real quick on that, what did you... what was kind of like your thing? Like, how did you? Because starting conversations.
That's how I did.
Is tough for a lot of people. I don't think it's hard.
This is my niche, and you gotta. This one, I'm gonna say it. It was my thing, big time, and it worked. But then you gotta earn it too. There's some backstory to get to it. So I introduced myself every single time as exactly what I am: a pediatric chiropractor. Perfect. And I was literally detailed to like enunciate and pause after pediatric. Because every mixer I went to was 8 other schmuck chiros who were more than willing to give a $19. You know, it was the same stuff that's there now. They just had to do it then. And the last thing I wanted to be was that. So I just immediately partitioned myself as a pediatric chiropractor. And then what you get is an open book. Nobody has a frame for what that is. Right. Everybody, unfortunately, thinks, and it's not good most of the time, what a chiropractor is. Right. So I had a free, as I always call it, Word document. So now whatever I said the next 3 minutes was very important because that's going to be their frame forever as pediatric chiropractor. So I just stuck. I stood out, and then I was able to have that lasting memory. So I just stayed in that community building forever, and that was my one thing.
That's great. Yep. And I talked to your staff about this. I think it's so much easier if you get the kid in first to convert the parent than vice versa.
By a million freaking miles. It's our secret sauce with Epic Pediatrics. Now you've got to earn to get the parent. We call it the hard easy approach. Yep. To get the family to first bring the baby in. You got to really have a brand. You got to. That's a bigger thing to get over. That's a bigger gap to close. But when you do, every other gap is smaller.
Well, now they understand the nervous system.
It's
because if you're dealing with the parent with low back pain, they don't really understand why their newborn. There were a couple of babies in here blown out diapers. They were like this big. Yes. I mean, they're like if you're bringing those kids in, you're getting adjusted to.
It's the easiest thing ever. And I joke all the time. People are like, "Oh, what's your script?" When I do a talk at a conference, people are always like, they know we have a 60-70% peds. This is the question I get all the time, dude. They're like, "What do you say to your patients to get them to bring their kids in?" 2 problems with that. They assume my patients are adults first. Right. They don't even say to parents, right? They say to patients. And then they want me to give them a magic script. And I'm like, I don't. I just look at my patients who are kids and I go, "Hey, little bro, your mom looks a little stressed. I don't think she showered for like 3 days. You know, those yoga pants are, so why don't we get her, I'm having fun with her, right?" I'm like, and I tell the kids like, "Dude, your mom's driving you here. You cool if we just adjust her too?" It's so easy.
It's really
so
good.
easy to go.
It's really
so it's hard. You got to work your ass off with training and reputation and get results to get the kids in. Once you have that though, you almost can't ever stop the thing, which is probably a big part of why I was able to hit the 4 marks, because once it started, it has stayed on growth mode.
So that's great. I really do think that there are so many new chiropractors that just hide in their practices and they don't go out and meet people. No. And it's like all of those people know 200 people in their life.
And I'm really worried. I just trained within Epic. I'm the startup guru guy on it, because I did have success from the beginning, and now a bunch of our docs are working here and leaving and slaying it. And I stay mentor with our family there. And I told him, I was like, you know what I wish for you, honestly, for a second, is that you had 30 days without Facebook and Instagram. Act as if, because I'm worried. I just did this myself recently. Like, we can get fat cat syndrome on Facebook and Instagram because it's working so well, and then lose the value of going out in the community and doing that. And because the answer is both,
everything.
You do everything. It's and.
It's an and conversation. All right, 250 to 500. You've gotten a little bit of success.
Totally.
You're probably still by yourself, I'd imagine, at that point.
Yep.
Is your wife a chiropractor?
No, she's been the brains and the I'm clearly not the most organized human on earth, right? You know,
You just need somebody to like walk behind you, pick up the stuff.
I just take planes off, and she's like, that one lands there, and that one lands there.
Yeah.
So she's really run the ship the whole time.
That's great.
Yeah.
So 250 to 500.
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing for
talks?
you
Then it became talks.
Yeah.
Then it became workshops. Then it became, and I had that in the first phase too. But then I really started to master workshops in the office and in the community. The Perfect Storm came alive and started to become a brand locally.
How often were you doing it?
At least once a week. You know, so
Outside and inside.
Well, or both. You know,
Okay.
I kind of had either or a give and take one.
Okay.
One would be outside and then inside, and doing it that way.
Yeah.
Trying to set up professional talks and doing it to pediatric PT, OT centers.
Yeah.
So I would say from 250 to 500. Now I had a brand and had traction, and I did. Well, this will probably be my answer to the next one. Then I started to use traditional media back then to drive brand and drive workshop traffic, but it was really internal referrals and workshops.
So I would imagine though, as you're developing that and you're going into OTs and pediatricians, like you gotta know it.
You gotta own
You can't fake your way through this part.
Not in this. Maybe with back pain, simple, but no, with pediatrics.
But even with back pain,
No,
like if you're walking into somebody who deals with it all the time, they can sniff out
if you're going
the bullshit
professionals,
pretty quick. You know? You can know somebody who like just works with
the
as a
Firestone
like,
tire place or something.
Yes, right. Yeah. Like you can confuse them. But,
Truth.
But,
no, I've owned the science of subbooks. That's what the Perfect Storm is. So
Yeah.
once we knew the path, now we explain the science. But it is where I'm the neuro nerd chiro, but I'm the farmer Tony too. So I explain the science through the gas versus brake pedal analogy and the Perfect Storm analogies. So it's a real simple one. Now when you go into a professional Perfect Storm workshop, you go way more on science and you're not so emotional. But when I do like the one this morning or the one at Duke's last week with parents, it's 70 to 80% emotions, and I have the science in there to know that they know what I know. But it flips with professionals. So I did a lot of that.
And how many do you say is like your average attendance at a
So and Facebook's our primary driver for that now. We always have 20, 30, 40, the nighttime ones. The morning one, I consider it, I always just want a solid single out of it, and nighttimes will go more for home runs. 20, 30, 40 will be there, and we always have conversions of 70, 80% of the room, and then 70, 80% at least when they get in here. So it's, that's always been.
When you were before Facebook though, like what was kind of like
here's
the
what's
average
awesome.
attendance?
So I spent, I spent, and that would be, if I can do it, that would be my answer for 500 to $1 million. Then I had profit from having a good practice, and I was already doing some traditional advertising, still before Facebook. I got to 300,000 or 350, I think, the first year, topped 500 halfway through the second year, was in it, right, and rolling. And then we had that money, invested it. I had good mentors to say, don't just, I kept playing, but market. So I was spending $5,000 a month on radio ads.
Wow.
And the radio ads were branding. A bunch of them had no call to action effectively.
Sure.
They were just branding, jab, jab, jab. And then if I did do a call to action, it was come to the workshop.
Great.
I knew that from a 60-second radio ad, same as a 3-minute video now on Facebook, they're not going to call in because they heard me one time. They got to come listen to me for an hour and make an experience out of it. So that's what we started to do at that point, is use money to drive traffic to the events. So it's still like the workshop was still the thing, but I didn't have to hoof it so much to go get traffic to it. So my chamber membership was done. Like no more country inn and sweets, coffee, and then it became that. So it was radio for sure.
You know what I like about it though is that it was one thing.
Yep. Always.
Like you mastered that one
Always.
thing.
Always.
And it allowed you to do it. I'm sure you have the perfect storm conversation if you're one-to-one with somebody. But it makes it real easy if you can do 1 to 30.
So my daughter was born my first 2 weeks before I graduated. I've now got 4 little ones. I do love my time out of I'd love to travel and do the things we do too and help other chiropractors. I've just always, freedom for me was huge. So if I pick up the bat, I want to swing for the fences. Right. I'm always okay one-on-one, but I would rather get more done with less time.
When did you add your first associate?
That's into the second year.
So like right when you were at that
500, 550, something like that. Yeah, because we were $50,000 a month. So yes, 550, 600. That was And did it super young, had not read a leadership book or anything in my life, right?
Yeah.
So that didn't go so hot. It didn't.
When we go to dinner later,
Yeah,
I'll share with you my best associate story.
It was 3 years, which technically, I guess if you look at the landscape, which again, we have to fix this in the profession, but it was 3 years of working together, and it did a lot of good. It didn't end well, but learned a ton from it. I think that's actually our strong suit now, along with branding, and that our team is unreal. We've really figured out.
They really are.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
you've
docs
got
and
a great
Cs.
one. Yeah. And you've got interns coming in, and you're spreading those out around and really making an impact beyond just beyond these four walls.
We have had over. So I just had my 12-year anniversary as a chiro. We've had over 60 of our patients have gone on to chiropractic school.
That's
Molly and Matt
unbelievable.
were my patients.
That's awesome.
And now they work here, which means it's cool and I'm old.
I'm like, shit.
So messes with you a little bit. Like, you're already through school? That went fast, Want to work here? No.
So we get to we're at $1 million now.
Okay.
So you're above $1 million. We'll talk about what you're doing currently. But when you say you had to do it twice, talk to me about that.
So even like with Dr. Dane in the interview, I love that man. So I was wellness certified and obsessed with that before pediatrics. So I was kind of a late bloomer to pediatrics a little bit. Yeah. And I went, so it was almost kind of, and Dane knows this, he was amazing with helping me through this journey. I got so successful with wellness and 8 weeks to wellness. I used all those same moves for that, workshops and radio. Mm-hmm. I became his fastest 8 weeks to wellness center in a hot minute. Yeah. And then that almost got in my way of the pediatrics and perfect storm in a good way, in a healthy way. It was so busy. And it was my passion. It's my core thing. God put me here for perfect storm. Mm-hmm. And there's not as many people that can do that in the way I can. Whereas the 8 weeks to wellness is just an amazing system. So we had to unpackage that. But what I really mean is, we got above $1 million. I had set the goal. My coach was like, "Oh, you should do it in 5 years." I was like, "I'd really like to do it in 3." And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "So right. It happened in 4." So neither of us were right, in that to get there. And so, but it was a lot of insurance. So I did Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois when I opened up. Things were way different back then, as you know, being in the state, and it was way easy. And it exploded. I was getting over $1 million in collections just from them.
I would like to say that there are more chiropractors in Illinois that probably should not be in their own practice, all from the generosity of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois.
It's ridiculous. And therefore, so when I left that, it was hard. Oh my God!
Like you got a W-2 at the end of the year from Blue Cross for over $1 million.
Over $1 million. We were collecting 85, 90,000, and I was just in the first. When did I do it? What year? We're in our 5th year.
Like this isn't the Mercedes 80s. This is like
this was
like 2014.
It extended here, didn't it? It lasted longer. It's one out of all the things we don't have good in Illinois, which this is kind of it's a double-edged negative, right? Like that exists, but. So we were way above $1 million, a lot of it insurance coming from that. And I just knew that the perfect storm and pediatrics and this epic path, which simplicity, because that was real busy too. There was a lot of complexity to make all that happen.
That would be hard to be like balancing those two in the same practice.
It's crazy.
Somebody's like doing like snatches and there's like a baby crawling under
or a child with autism who's like, why is Eminem playing in the background with weights dropping? It was wild. We were adjusting 600 people a week out of 2 tiny little rooms.
In like 1,800 square feet, right?
Yes, with a gym and shit in it.
That's
it was
crazy.
Freaking nuts.
That's crazy.
Only my Raging Bull dipshitness could do that. And pull that off. And it didn't last long. And so then we buckled it all down. I literally just...
So you went cash?
Straight up.
You went cash?
In 2013.
What was the last... So 13 was last year you collected insurance.
Yep.
And like you were like, that $1 million check from Blue Cross, we're good. Like you can keep that.
It still has a visceral effect right now. Because the whole year as I'm planning and preparing, we had a whole plan. Jackson and the team, they helped me go all the way through it. Yeah. There was an executed plan.
Hopefully it was a lot of hugs.
And a lot of wine. Like that. Oh, God. Oh, dear Lord. IPAs and wine and everything put together. And a lot of freak out moments, like 11 o'clock, calling Jackson and be like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Are we sure this is a good idea?
Yeah, right? And then just to extrapolate, it got nuts. So we did that on January 1 and pulled the plug. Thankfully, Obamacare was in it. We got to blame Obama pretty well. That actually worked out, literally, right? It was not a good season for healthcare, and it still doesn't exist. Right. But I was like, yeah, it sucks, right? We're out. Well, and it was a little more detailed than that. Yeah. So we went out. We worked really hard on. I already flipped and was charging Perfect Storm patients cash only because their pediatrics is non-covered.
Yeah.
Truthfully, you can get CUE, but it's not covered.
Yeah.
Neither is family wellness, right?
Yeah.
And so the bread and butter of my practice was the best way to go cash.
What did you so December 2013?
I went all
what was
the way
your
down.
last 2014 January?
I
What was your
collected-
collections?
So I collect in that year we went all the way down. I think it was like 680 or 700. So we but also the
and you were up to what?
1.2.
Wow.
Yeah, but the
So it cut in
500.
half.
Yeah. But the overhead went down dramatically too.
Sure.
The stress went down. The freedom, the simplicity went down in a big
This
way.
seems like
Right?
I was here from probably 5 until 7, 5:30 until 7 because it takes 30 minutes to get an Uber. So I was here from 5:30 to 7:15. I mean, there were just people just coming in, just hanging out.
We probably saw 100 that time. Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't feel like it.
No,
No,
it's simple. That is the essence of Epic Pediatric Model. Is it's simple, and so insurance doesn't fit in simple for us. So we had to get rid of it, and then it got a little crazy that year. Christina was pregnant with our fourth, super sick. Only one she got real sick on, and then I fired my one associate in April. My next one left in May. So I went from 3 to me.
Wow.
After all that, so I was adjusting 500-600 myself. The collections were down to that. Then I got bit by a tick that summer just to top it off and got acute Lyme. So that added to it. It was nuts, man.
Yeah.
But it was we came from that. Then that same summer, Dr. Ron had been my homie forever. We got on the call every week. We met each other, did accountability partners. I got him to cross the river, sell his practice, come up. He was just a dude doing amazing in practice, but didn't love running it.
Yeah.
If you saw him today, right, just effortlessly takes care of patients like a clinical ninja. So he came over here and I run it. He doesn't have to worry about that stuff. A new doctor came out, and within a year again, we got back up.
That's great.
So we went back to it again, and now this year we'll be just short of 1.5. Just replacing one of my doctors was a little trickier this year than we were hoping. So I probably shouldn't be salty about that, but at 1.5.
But that's like such a solid base.
Yep.
There is no
And I'm only here 3 days a week.
So
Three shifts
a fun Blue Cross Blue Shield story. So I'm in Springfield. Right. I bought my first practice, and the practice that I bought, the guy who ran it had a bigger practice in Chatham, which was right outside of Springfield. He just happened to be. He also got grandfathered into the HMO.
Oh.
Okay. You want to talk about easy money? It was a $20 copay for 12 visits. Not a $20 each time. A $20 one for the first visit, and it covered 100% of any. You could just like make stuff up.
Yeah.
You could be like standing against that wall, $75, right? So I was new in practice, and I had just hired my first associate. So because I bought that, I got grandfathered in because they still wanted those patients to get seen in that office. Yeah. And then I opened my second office in Springfield, and there were only like 5 doctors in Springfield that were on this. And I was like, well, since I see some of the patients in Springfield, can you cover me in there? And they're like, sure. And I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus.
Totally.
Right? So, but one day, they called me and they were like, hey, we are going to change the way we do it.
Oh, no.
We're just going to pick 2 people that see the most people. And it was the guy that I bought the practice from and another guy that was big in Springfield. And we're going to just pay them $70,000 a year to see everybody. And you're not
make them a
and you're not
salaried employee?
Yeah, that's what they did.
Oh,
that's what they did.
I didn't even know.
So and I was not at 1.2 million. They just took that $75,000 the year before, and it went to 0 in a heartbeat. And it's like, but I mean, what you're doing now, and we're probably 70% cash now. We still take some insurance because in Springfield it's like everybody wants to use their insurance. But now that 1.5 is a whole lot more solid than the 1.2.
Big time. The way out of insurance is into pediatrics. That is families. It is their. It's their greatest value. Yep. That is the thing, and it's not covered anyways. But that's not even the main thing. It's their greatest. When you can communicate that value and deliver upon the value, they don't have any issues. Paying for it. And they, in fact, it's such a complicated system nowadays. They almost appreciate the simplicity sometimes with it. Yeah, it's wild. I have a goal, just to keep gunning with it. And in fact, God, I'm such an idiot. I'm a little salty we're not at 2 already. Because in the last 5-6 years, I've been awesomely busy, not just as a dad, but with Epic, and doing that. Sure. So I always joke I have 2 full-time jobs and I love them both. You know, I'm like, I'm not going to be happy working 20 hours a week sort of dude, because it's not work for me.
No.
You know, and, but yeah, we're gunning for it.
So what was the thing that you got back down to 680?
Oh.
You get Lyme disease. You
Social.
get rid of your
Social media.
Content marketing.
It's just content marketing. Just turned it on and went, you know? So I used to spend $5,000, like I said before, $5,000 a month to brand and fill traffic at the workshop. It's $500 at most on ads per an event now.
Yeah.
You know, like it gets the job done.
What do you do with your content?
So, well, first, we have a lot of jab videos. We're just teaching and giving and doing that sort of stuff is out there. But even those, it's rarely we don't at least put in the call to action of get to the next workshop.
Yep.
You know, we keep it evergreen now, even call to action, because we do the workshops on a regular basis every month. So I don't ever want to timestamp my video and then like, hey, come tomorrow. Well, that video's done 48 hours later.
Yeah. If you put a learn more button in there, they can just click it and go to the landing page.
So it all runs. So I'm just the content producer. We've got an amazing team that runs it for us on the back end. I did that for a while. You know, farmer button pushing, right? And I was like, one night I'm like, this is really dumb that I'm doing this. There has to be a better idea than this.
Right.
And I haven't done it for years.
Yeah.
I just produce the videos, show up for the workshop, and you know, do the job. Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah. So we rarely, but I don't. It's never a video. Even I know they've watched 17, but I don't ever say call us. You know, so the workshops have not gone away.
They'll call you
They still
without you having to tell them.
They skip the line all the time.
But it's like when they hear, it's like it's more branding for Perfect Storm.
It really is at all times. Everything is. It's the best. And then we have Kick the Six. We have an immune one that's come of age too and is doing great. Dr. Matt kind of heads that up. Dr. Ron is our prenatal work. So we kind of have with the niche is pediatrics, prenatal, and family wellness.
Yeah.
But then there's 3 or 4 strong brands within.
Which is
Perfect
great.
Storm, Kick the Sick, and Delivered for prenatal. So they each are feeders to the workshops. But yeah, I mean, we had yesterday morning, there was 3 messages in the inbox of Facebook, you know, just schedule. They're like, hey, I can't come to the workshop. Can I come right in? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Maybe I'm doing a bad job of making them think that they're not allowed to.
Yeah, right, totally. And sometimes I do.
But that's a good problem to have.
They don't know
when
that
it's so branded.
They have half this community. We would see way more adults if people thought we did, and I'll take that.
Right.
I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I want to be that niche strong.
I'd love to come see you, but
Yeah,
you don't see
You're
adults.
that pediatric guy, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you are kind of you're grumpy. You know, oh yeah, but no, it does work for us in that way.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So I somehow, I don't really know how, but I end up getting on the phone with a lot of usually female chiropractors that they are either stuck or they're just getting started and they just have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
But they all want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
They all want to see babies.
they do.
They all want to see mamas,
Yep.
right? Give them some advice on just 3 tactics to just either get unstuck, because they're like at 5,000, 8,000, right?
Yeah.
And this sounds like what you do all the time.
Yep.
But give them the things that are really gonna make a difference
So-
for them. And they're usually I can kind of tell it's the avatar is they just love people, but they're just shy.
Yeah,
they're not Tony Ebel.
So I think here's the cheat code for that.
All right.
Because it's easy to say, go onto the videos and get after it and produce and go. And they look at us and they look at Gary and they're like, well, I'm not that. So because they do that, I can't. And it's not that. But that is an initial thing to get over. So it still is crucial to go into the community and meet people. And those folks are typically way more comfortable at coffee with the doula or the midwife or the pediatric OT and doing that. But what you do is you start there and then add that phone and that tripod. Now you have another person there with you who has an audience and has a heart for what you do.
Yep.
And you take a picture and you post it on Instagram and you do a short video and you share. And now that other person sitting next to you makes you a little bit more comfortable on the video. You're both goofing, oh, it's going to be, and that. And you just get to share your heart in that way. And then you get comfortable doing video because you're doing it in a community collaboration way. And now when you get comfortable, now you just keep doing video and putting it out there. Because especially moms, the reason I have been successful is because for me, it's the best thing to not be too professional. You know what I mean?
Well, and you're super handsome.
That's the biggest.
yeah.
The height and their looks. You know, on video they're like, "Is that guy? Is he only 5'6"?" They don't know. You know.
Why does he always have the phone on the floor?
Yeah, totally right. Absolutely. And so they get comfortable and they get on video. But when you share that you're nervous and you share that you're authentic and you share that you just care, you know, you'll
document the journey.
It's huge. You'll never. People will share that and want to share that more than anything else. That's the best thing.
One of the things I recommend because it's like they get so caught up in video. It's like if you are. I would rather you do something than nothing. Yeah. So if you're not going to do video, like just be honest with yourself. If you're not going to do it. For pediatrics, I always tell them, I'm like, if you started a podcast for moms in your area, you know, like
interview moms.
Moms in Springfield podcast.
Moms
right?
and moms.
And you either interviewed moms or you went and interviewed those people that are going to allow them to have a healthy baby.
Yep.
You now get this interview right here. I'm going to put it out to my audience so people that maybe don't know you hear more about you. And you'll probably share it on your social. 100%. And you know more people than I do, so that's good for me and it's good for you.
Massively.
Right?
And nobody collaborates more than moms.
Yes.
Nobody shares. If you look at blogs, mom blogs have dominated since the existence of blogs. If you look at Facebook right now, Facebook is a support group app way more than it's a social media app. Yeah. And moms, that's why we slay it there with the perfect storm and everything else. So it's mom to mom to mom to mom interaction. And then same thing in the community, MOPS groups and meetups and these sort of things. So so if you can reach them with a podcast and blogging, because you're not comfortable on video first, you'll slay it. All right. Yeah.
So getting out, meeting people.
Yep. Some
kind of content that you're comfortable with. Yep. What would be the third thing for them?
You know, and then when they get into the office, you gotta deliver results. You know, I'm gonna go super nerdy. This is so my passion on it, and it's like this thing is so not sexy in the marketing landscape. Everybody's like, "Oh, teach me how to market, teach me how to communicate, teach me my day one." You know what chiropractors fall so short on with taking care of kids? Care plans. They just wuss out on what a kid needs for care because they don't think they can communicate the value. They don't think they'll pay for it. And then if you don't see a kid enough to get them well, they're not going to share your results. Right. But conversely, if you do what's needed to get a kid better, you take a mom whose baby hasn't slept. You know, that mom that was in here tonight, she already loved us. Now when baby was having a really, really tough time and now isn't, oh my God, that mom, she's going to tell everybody that transformative story. So the third thing would be get results. And I know that's as old as it gets, but get results. And the care plans is the cheat code. Yeah. When I dissect a chiropractor and I find it's not their freaking technique. It's not their school. It's not that they didn't get certified in pediatrics. There's a lot of certified pediatric chiropractors who are adjusting their family, their kids, and nobody else's. Yeah. Right? Because they can't do all this other stuff we're talking about. But care planning, you just got to see kids more often, and then the miracles happen. Got it. Yep.
Anything else you want to share with people that we didn't cover? I feel like that was.
I think honestly too. I mean, I loved this. This is freaking. I could do this for hours, right? We just go to Duke's and continue it, right? It'll take that long to get your Uber, anyways. I might be driving you back down. You know, I honestly do feel this is gonna sound cheesy, but you gotta like to get help taking care of kids and doing that sort of stuff. If you don't know how to do it, get help from me doing it. And with your work, it's freaking good, man. You know what you're doing. And so this do it yourself, and I think I can speak to this. I so want to share this because I think I did both of them well. I have always invested in mentors and learning. Yeah. But then some of the stuff I went too farmer style. And I was like, I'll do my own Facebook ads. I'll do my own stuff. And in today's world, if you want to grow fast and have a lot of freedom in your family, just hire freaking professionals. Yeah. Hire people whose passion it is and whose expertise it is. And you can see your passion coming through on every video you built. Like, I loved seeing what it's built. It's good. I think a lot of chiropractors are just afraid and they hesitate and therefore don't invest in other professionals with their practice. You saw it. People go, how do you get so much done? I don't, but we do. Yeah. My team, a lot of them you don't even know that exist, we get a lot done. Yeah. And Gary Vee I know he'd say that, right? Absolutely. You know, and so that's how you move fast.
Absolutely, brother. Yep. Well, man, I appreciate your time. This has been
that was awesome,
an awesome interview. Awesome experience being in the office. I don't get to get into other people's offices as much as I would like. and to be able to see it, man, it's a special place. So you should be proud.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
Love
All
it.
right, we'll see you on the next one.
Just because this episode is over doesn't mean you can't continue your path to $1 million practice. We've created chiropractic's most full-service marketing agency at Leverage Media to help you reach $1 million a year fast and continue to grow. You can get a free strategy session with me absolutely free right now. To get started, go to getmemorenewpatients.com. Once again, go to getmemorenewpatients.com, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Path to $1 Million podcast.